All my content on consciousness and transformation is built on scientific research that most people have never heard of. These aren't theories or feel-good concepts, but rather psychological truths backed by decades of research and experience that explains exactly how your mind co-creates your reality. That's why I'm giving you the top 10 psychological truths, revealing the foundations that make all my transformation techniques work. Miss these, and you're building on sand. Let's jump right in. Truth 10 is about the power of habit. While identity work often happens at the subconscious level through techniques I use with my clients, there's also a powerful behavioral pathway revealing that you don't just act based on who you are. You become who you are based on how you consistently act. Some might be familiar with James Clear and Atomic Habits, a book backed by Wood and Neal's 2007 behavioral studies showing identity is reinforced by repeated actions. And where most people go wrong is they wait to feel like the person they want to become. But here's the twist. I work with identity transformation on multiple levels: subconscious programming, belief restructuring, and behavioral adoption. But even when we do deep identity work, the behavioral repetition is crucial for full integration. Here's where it gets really interesting. Lately, I've been experimenting with a technique where my clients adopt complex traits from public figures like Russell Brand's quick wit combined with unapologetic intellectual rebellion and charismatic vulnerability, or Rihanna's blend of grit and glamour, shrewd but fearlessly experimental mindset, and charm without submission. We choose complex personalities to avoid one-dimensional copying and tune this expression to fit their individual needs. Then we practice the embodiment of these traits until they become authentically their own. Truth 9 is all about neuroplasticity, the way your brain rewires itself based on experience. Neuroplasticity means your brain physically changes based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Neurons that fire together wire together. Norman Doge's The Brain That Changes Itself and Michael Merzenich cortical remapping studies show stroke patients literally growing new neural pathways to recover functioning. But here's what made this personal for me. I've seen this work firsthand. Back in 2002, 2003, my mom was paralyzed after a botched brain surgery while fighting stage 4 brain cancer. The doctor said she'd never fully recover. So this is what I did. I basically encouraged her to continue, proving them wrong, and like any good daughter, I straight up lied to her, telling her I had found irrefutable research proving that the brain heals itself. So once she decided that she was coming back from this, all we had to do was go through the motions with physical therapy while her brain made brand new connections. I honestly still don't know if the research actually existed to back me up, but I really didn't care. I wasn't going to let some doctor's mistake be the end of my mom's story. And here's what happened. She actually did recover significant function. She started walking again and everything. This experience taught me that neuroplasticity isn't just some concept. It's a very real tool for defying limitations. Truth 8. Suppressing emotions increases stress and gets stored in your fascia. Trying to push down or ignore emotions doesn't just create psychological stress. It literally gets stored in your fascia, the connective tissue that wraps inside and out every muscle and organ in your body. Gross and Levinson's foundational 1993 studies showed emotional suppression increases sympathetic nervous system activation, such as elevated heart rate and increased blinking, even when people were reporting feeling fine. But here's where it gets really wild. Thought suppression research from Wegner and Romer reveals something far worse. Suppression doesn't reduce emotional content, it only intensifies it later through rebound stress. And here's the breakthrough that changes everything. Recent myofascial interoception research shows your fascia is richly innervated with C fiber interoceptors that directly communicate emotional states to your brain's emotion centers. Neto's 2021 review demonstrates that manual fascial therapy can support emotional regulation, but there's even more. The body mapping studies are fascinating. Redden's 2024 fMRI research and Daikoku's 2025 body mapping studies show emotions aren't just inside your head. They create reliable, measurable patterns in specific body zones. Your fascia literally becomes a storage and communication system for emotional experiences. This is why good vibes only and just think positive aren't just ineffective suggestions. They're creating physical rigidity in your body that reinforces the very emotional patterns you're trying to get away from. So recently, I started integrating somatic work, breath work, and nervous system regulation into all my techniques with my clients. We're not just processing motions mentally, we're also releasing them from the tissue where they've been stored. Truth 7, your subconscious mind makes decisions milliseconds before your conscious mind thinks it's even deciding. Libet's 1983 studies showed brain activity as readiness potentials firing before conscious awareness of decision making. Gazzaniga's interpreter theory explains how we rationalize decisions we've already made subconsciously. But here's what most people don't realize. Most of us fight this process instead of working with it, trying to override subconscious decisions with willpower, which is exhausting and typically fails. Here's what I've discovered with my work. You can actually negotiate it with your subconscious and get it aligned with your conscious goals. And here's the dangerous part. Your subconscious naturally operates on this as long as it gets the job done mentality. If you want confidence, it might give you arrogance. If you want success, it might create workaholism. If you want love, it might trigger people pleasing. The subconscious doesn't care about the method. It just wants to fulfill the directive, even if the approach is ultimately the opposite of what you want. This is why I stress precise subconscious programming rather than vague goals. Instead of telling your subconscious to make me successful, you need to specify how you want to be successful. The techniques I teach, like the identity infiltration protocol and timeline reversal method, work because they give your subconscious specific, healthy ways to achieve your goals. You're not fighting your subconscious decision-making process. You're programming it to make better decisions automatically. And finally, truth 6. The attachment patterns you formed with caregivers in early childhood determine how you connect in adult relationships. Bowlby, 1969, and Ainsworth, 1978, established attachment theory. Hazan and Shaver, in 1987, confirmed these patterns persist in adult romantic relationships. But here's what most people don't realize. Your relationship struggles aren't character flaws. They're adaptive strategies you've learned when your survival depended upon them. And here's what's really twisted. These patterns create predictable relationship dynamics that most people are completely blind to. One of the most common patterns I see is the anxious-avoidant trap or the runner-chaser. The chaser's pursuit triggers the runner's avoidance system, and the runner's distancing triggers the chaser's abandonment fears. Although they're both trying to get love, their strategies are perfectly designed to prevent the very thing they want the most. And here's what's really messed up. The chaser always believes, if I just love them enough, they'll stay. While the runner is thinking, if I get too close, I'll lose myself or get hurt. Both are operating from childhood programming that made sense then, but creates chaos now. This is one of the fundamental reasons I focus on nervous system regulation and identity work in relationship coaching. We're not just changing behaviors, we're updating attachment programming formed decades ago. When you understand your attachment style, you can catch these patterns before they sabotage your relationships, and then you can consciously choose different responses. These 5 truths explain why traditional self-help fails and why neuroscience-based approaches work. Your habits create your identity. Your brain rewires itself based on experience. Suppressed emotions create physical stress. Decisions happen subconsciously, and early childhood patterns shape adult relationships. But wait, there's even something bigger coming. In the final part, I'll be revealing the final 5 truths that complete this picture, including why your thoughts don't control your reality the way you might think they do, and the shocking truth about what actually drives human behavior. So which of these truths hit you the hardest? Drop a comment and let us know which one shifted your perspective. And consider subscribing, because part 2 drops in a few days with the final 5 truths that will complete your understanding of how transformation actually works. This is your psychological foundation. Build upon it wisely.